Good morning, Year 6. Welcome to our next English session. It is Thursday, the 16th of April today, and we are going to be looking at planning a report. Now, as usual, to start the day off with English, we are going to be doing a SPAG starter. So, I would like to find these different elements in these sentences. Okay? So get ready to pause the video with your pen and paper and have a go at this. Can you find the adverb, the articles, and so on? Are you ready to pause the video? And pause. Okay then, let's go through our answers. So the adverb here is just. The articles, the and a. The determiners, okay, which articles come underneath, are the and a in this sentence again. The preposition, against, he's leaning against the wall. The coordinating conjunction, fanboys, but. The pronoun, or pronouns in this sentence, I and your, they take the place of a noun. The subordinating conjunction is when, okay, introducing that subordinate phrase. And the noun phrase here is the traditional museum, okay, that description of the noun as well. Okay then, well done if you got all of them correct, and we are now going to move on to our main part of the lesson. Now we're going to think back to when Jessie came across the sea. If you are still not 100% sure of this book, okay, or you may have forgot it in a couple of days since you've listened to it, go back now and make sure you listen to it again, because you're going to have to make sure that you know all the different points for this lesson and tomorrow's lesson. So even though When Jessie Came Across the Sea is a fiction book, it is like a chronological report in so many ways. It does describe what happened to Jessie over different time periods. Now, it doesn't sort of go back and forth and go to what happened 10 years later, then go back. It keeps going in that chronological order, that time order. Now, the writer also used powerful verbs and powerful adjectives, okay? Crisscross, tipped, pelted, faded. Again, the rain pelted onto her face. The adjectives of skinny, pot-bellied, slanting, icy cold. We've done so much work on these in class, okay? So make sure when it comes to your writing, you use powerful verbs and adjectives as well. There was a mixture of short and long sentences, depending on the effects the author was trying to do. And of course, there was dialogue to move the story along. And maybe something that you couldn't see, but was in the book, was any of the letters that were going back between Jessie and her grandmother were all in italics. They were all slightly slanted to make it look like it had been handwritten. Now, have a think. When do you think this book was set? Was it set 5 years ago? 10 years ago? It was actually set about 120 years ago, sort of the start of the 1900s, where people were emigrating to different countries. So immigration to move to somewhere else, okay? And that's what you're going to be planning today. You're going to be planning to write an article, like a newspaper article, for example, or an article that can go into a reference book, something that people can learn from. And you're going to make a chronological report about Jessie's story, okay? So let's just have a think of this though. All of these villagers wanted to be the ones chosen by the rabbi. They wanted to go to America on this boat, and anyone on the boat also dreamed of this big, wonderful country. Why would they have thought that? Because they wouldn't have had the internet to do any research. The newspapers wouldn't have been going around in that big a circulation for them to understand. It was much more of a closed environment. So why would that have been? Well, a lot of stories that came back from people who had been there was that the streets were paved with gold. Now, it doesn't mean that the streets were actually made out of gold, but it meant that somebody could go there and make a living. They could earn a lot of money by doing their work in another country, okay? Maybe one that had more money than their country did. Now, if you were going to America in this time period as an immigrant, okay, and you were landing or docking with the boat, you would go to a place called Ellis Island. Now, Ellis Island is a place where all the immigrants used to go when they arrived in America. And it looks a little bit like this, okay? It would have looked like this. This is Ellis Island. And they would have gone into the Great Hall, something that looked a little bit like this. This is a modern photograph, okay, of what it probably looked like at that time. So everyone who travelled to America would have gone through this place. And there's still museums there with all the different names of people who travelled through. But imagine that. Imagine getting off the boat and having to go to this exact place and have to be there to take your name and to answer the questions, okay? Think about how that would have felt, especially maybe you wouldn't have spoken the language. Also, people also went for trade opportunities. A lot of people would have done sewing or lace making or shoemaking, and they believed that they could go to, in this case, America, to earn a better amount of money. So, have a think about the problems of these as well. People in Europe, or in some places in Europe at the time, would not have been able to read or write. Now, this is very important. We know that nowadays. But at the time, not everyone went to school. They would have had to maybe go to work, or they had other jobs and things that they would have had to do. So, not everyone went to school. They couldn't read and write. Think about the boat conditions. Being on that boat, it wasn't a nice little cruise ship where you got all the free food, okay? It wasn't good. People would have had to live on the deck, on the top of the boat. And think about the weather conditions. It would have been hot at times. It would have been freezing at times. The rain. People would have been sick, okay? So think about those boat conditions and how they would have been to those people. And again, weeks for letters. It's not like now we couldn't just send an email or quickly pick up the phone, okay? It would have taken weeks for the letter to arrive. Think about Jessie and her grandmother. When Jessie wrote that letter and sent it, it would have had to go on a boat, travel all the way across to where she was from to then be delivered. Then Grandma would have to write a letter and again send it onto a boat to be sent all the way across. So it would have taken a long time for letters to arrive back and forth. We're talking weeks, okay? Now your plan, or what you will be planning today, is a newspaper report. Something that you'll be writing tomorrow. You're just doing the plan today. Now, this is what my report is starting to look like. It should be in chronological order, remember. So start at the very beginning and move your way through, okay? So I've got chronological order, plan, newspaper report. And here is my opening. Now my opening is going to introduce what I'm going to be talking about. So how will you start yours? Well, I've started mine with life in the village. It was hard. There was no money. There was a lack of opportunities. Jessie probably wouldn't have had many opportunities for work, okay? Again, maybe they've seen or heard of these other people coming back and saying the paths are paved with gold. Then I've got paragraph 1, my first subheading. So my first subheading would be maybe, okay, Jessie, oh, sorry, just get my pen on. Jessie as a child. So that's my first subheading, okay? But my second paragraph, my first subheading, so I've got my opening, and then my next paragraph is going to be about Jessie as a child. And I could talk about, okay then, I could say, lived with grandma, put with GM, lived with grandma, one skinny cow. She had one skinny cow. She was learning to read and write with the rabbi. Okay, she was learning to read and write with the rabbi. And then I go on to paragraph 2. Remember, this plan is just to set out what you are going to be talking about. It can change, obviously, tomorrow. Paragraph 2, okay, well, paragraph 2, I'm going to talk about the opportunity. Sorry, wrong pen. The opportunity, okay? So the opportunity, and that's where she would have got the ticket to America. So this is now the opportunity stage, and I can talk about how she felt and what she was thinking, and again, what other people may have been saying at that time, okay? And then I've got room for paragraph 3 and my conclusion. Now, with your plan as well, you could maybe research today some key words that you might want to use in your report on Friday. So again, think of those emotions, think of those powerful descriptive words. And that's what I'm looking for, year 6, okay? So if you're in squares, you need to create a plan for a report. This is what you'll be writing tomorrow, so you won't be writing it today, you're just making me your plan. You must have at least 4 paragraphs. So that is an opening, 2 paragraphs, and then your conclusion, okay, what you talk about at the very end. Triangles and circles, you are creating a plan for a report as well, but you must have at least 5 paragraphs. You can do 6 and 7, of course, but at least 5. So that is an opening, 3 paragraphs at least, and then your conclusion. Okay, you can see that here. Opening, paragraph 1, paragraph 2, paragraph 3. My conclusions here. How am I going to end this report? Were people successful? Was Jessie successful? Did she get married in the end? What happened after the story, in effect? Okay, so I cannot stress enough, Year 6. You are planning today. I want you to send me your plan before 4 o'clock today, so I can give you some feedback before you write it on Friday. Okay, because that's what we'll be doing tomorrow. So, Year 6, chronological order. Don't forget your subheadings. Okay, so I'm opening, Jessie's a child, the opportunity, or whatever else you can think of. And then plan it out, write it on a piece of paper, and then send me a photograph or the Word document of your plan before 4 o'clock today, please. Okay? If you have any questions, send me a message and I will phone you back. Otherwise, I look forward to speaking to you in a very short while. Goodbye, Year 6.